was the number for that pizza place? It was 2. Oh boy, 2, 7, 9, 1. Maybe I better use my cell phone. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Network 13. And today we're going to start a restoration project on this telephone. Now this is a Bell Model 500 desk phone that I purchased at it looks like an estate sale, because the guy told me that everything in the house was for sale. Everything. Which makes me think it's more of an estate sale than a yard sale. Anyway, there's a tag on here that says 2015 and a price of $10. Of course, I got this for $4. I talked the guy down a little bit. So we'll find out if I paid $4 too much or not. If we flip this over, you can see it's covered in some kind of mildew or God knows what. If we flip this over and we look, we see it's a Model 500. There's a C/D designator there, and it has a date code of February 1955, which I assume is when it was built or inspected or put into service. I'm not sure what that means. So the base plate's a little rusty here. This is the control for the Bell volume. The case doesn't seem to be broken or cracked that I can tell, looking through all the mildew here. The handset seems to be in okay shape. Doesn't look to be cracked or chipped. Maybe a few scratches here and there. The coil cord needs a few places. It needs to be straightened out, obviously, but just dirty. Doesn't appear to be cracked. Broken. Still seems pliable enough. And here's the line that went into the wall, and it's missing its terminals. They would be like fork terminals on these normally, but they look, they're gone. They either got pulled off or cut off. Okay, so this is it. This is the Bell Model 500 desk phone, 1955 vintage. That's going to need some WD-40. All right, the first thing we're going to do is open this up, and we're going to see what we have inside. Now, the shell is held on by these 2 screws here, so we're going to loosen these up. And that's coming out relatively easily. They're not stuck or tight or frozen after all these years. I said before, solid steel base plate. A lot of the parts inside riveted down here, riveted to the base plate. You have some leather feet here. It's actually leather, these older ones. And if you look at the plastic shell, it's about 1/16 of an inch thick. Very, very thick. Very, very solid. Let's turn this back over. And let's open this up now. This may be the first time this has been opened up in decades. Don't know. I'm being careful here because I'm wondering if there's... it doesn't look like there's any critters living in there. Nothing seemed to have scurried out when I took the top off. Okay, that's good. That's really, really good. And I can say right now that I'm really starting to get the basement mildew aroma really coming out now from inside. Okay, if you've never seen one of these before, and I've taken quite a few of these apart over the years and put them back together. But if you've never seen one of these old telephones before, this is obviously the bell mechanism. So there's 2 kind of brass gongs here, and there's a solenoid, and when the phone would ring, the solenoid would get energized and de-energized, and this striker would get pulled back and forth, and you get that characteristic ringing sound. Now this is the switch hook mechanism. I'll show you more about that in a minute. This is, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but this module, you can see with all these screw terminals, this module has these identifying letters for the screws, for the connections, and I'm sure they all mean something important. I don't remember what they are right now. But anyway, this module is kind of the heart of the phone. So the sub-assemblies like the bell, the dial, the switch hook, and the handset and the line cord, these would all come together in the module, and all these terminals would be attached here. I'm trying to show you I can zoom in. Okay, I think you can see that. This is the switch hook switch, and this is a multi-pole switch, as you can see. It's got some contacts at the top, and it's got the fingers here, some kind of copper or brass or some kind of resilient material. And when you activate the switch hook, you can see the contacts making and breaking inside. Okay. And I can also show you, hopefully there's enough light there, some of the dial mechanism. If you can make out some gears in here, if you can turn this, you can see things turning inside. Gears are turning inside. Parts are moving. Because I'll show you more about the dial mechanism when I take it apart, when I remove it. Let's see, let's zoom back out. This is a strain relief for the cord. It's crimped on, so keep your cord from pulling out. And there's also another strain relief for the line cord back here. And the dial and the switch hook are attached with these brackets they appear to be steel, but they're plated or anodized somehow with something, keep them from corroding, I would imagine. And actually the module here seems to have the same kind of treatment on the shell. Okay, that's the inside of a Model 500 phone. What else can I show you? Oh, the handset. Okay, let's show you the handset. You can unscrew these caps, and this was the earpiece. Some kind of dynamic element there with a coil and magnet. Typical kind of speaker thing. Oh, and this has a date also. Let's see what this date is. 7/31/58, 1958. Okay, so this kind of post dates the base plate date. So this may have been returned and refurbished at some point, and they put a new earpiece in. Of course, this is the mouthpiece that has a number on it, 59. I don't know if that's the year. That might be the year. There's another number here, 9-59, if you can see that. Okay, and this sat in this cup with these two contacts, and they look like they're silver plated. And if you go a little deeper, you pull this out, and you can see some more screw terminals and another strain relief for the cord. And we get a close-up shot here. You can see Western Electric, made in USA, and this has a designated G1 on it, so perhaps that's a designator for this type of handset. I'm not sure, but if there are any phone enthusiasts, hobbyists, experts, phone geeks out there that want to comment or school me on some of this stuff, please feel free. I would really like some expert opinions on this. Like I said, I used to take these apart when I was a kid, but I really didn't have a frame of reference as to what these particular parts were called, or any of the history or any of the model numbers. Of course, we have all that now on the internet. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to disassemble. And what I want to do is I want to clean up these plastic parts like the handset and the shell, see what shape they're in. So I'm going to disconnect all the electrical parts from the handset. And this comes apart really nice. Really nice. Okay. Now I should be able to just pull this out. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have the handset and I have the earpiece and the mouthpiece caps. The other thing that I can disassemble is inside the shell. There's another screw that holds the switch hook parts. I'm going to take that out. And that is a self-tapping screw, so, but you wouldn't expect to be taking that apart very often. So this piece comes off, and these two clear plastic, well, believe it or not, no, these aren't clear plastic. They seem to be black. Anyway, I think the newer vintage phones, they were clear. So we have the shell, we have this piece, the handset, and this. And I'm going to try a first pass attempt at cleaning these, and I want to see what they look like after I've cleaned them. All right, another piece I have to add to the cleaning list is the back plate here. So this back plate is also plastic underneath the dial. So what I need to do to get to that is I need to pry this very carefully. Pry this off. Thing that holds your phone number. There it is, and that's some kind of steel, and there's some kind of plastic covering there. But underneath you have, let's see if I have a. Where would that be? Let's hold on a moment. Looking for the proper tool to. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, an adjustable wrench or spanner, perhaps, as some people call it. I'm going to very carefully loosen this nut here. Very carefully. And the dial pops off, and there's some kind of a lock washer kind of thing there, or keep some pressure on the nut. Anyway, this is aluminum, by the way, this dial itself. And underneath, oh boy, that looks horrible. Underneath we have we have to remove this this finger stop. So that's another screw. I can loosen that up here. Finger stop is also steel, like a polished or plated, I don't know, maybe it's just polished. Anyway, that's steel. And there are 3 screws in here that actually hold the back plate on. Oh, keep going. Okay, 1, 2, and I'm very lucky so far. Nothing's been seized, rusted into place, frozen. Everything's coming apart relatively easily. Okay, this should come off now. Oh, look how nasty that is. Look at that. It's disgusting. And in the inside, there's some kind of white. So I believe these numbers are actually kind of molded in there. I don't think they're going to come off. They're not painted. Actually, plastic molded into this other black plastic. Okay, that comes off. And just underneath, this metal is some kind of like casting. Some kind of they would cast that into a mold. But here's your dial one more time. Seems to be getting, maybe I spoke too soon. It's definitely going to need some lubrication inside because it probably hasn't turned in a long time. Okay, I'm going to try to clean these plastic parts now. Alright, I'm not sure you're going to be able to hear this because it's pretty windy out here, but we have a plastic container with all our parts in. We're going to use some Ajax dishwashing soap. We'll start with this and we'll see if we need something stronger as we move on. We'll just get some in there. Get some in there. Add some water. Well, let's just start with the handset. Now I have an old toothbrush here, and we'll start scrubbing, and you can see there's some kind of just brown stuff coming off. Nasty brown stuff. Oh wow. Okay. Let's give a quick rinse and see. Oh, I mean, okay. I mean, I'm sure the water's making it look shiny too, but it already looks better. Already. Try to dry that with my shirt. Already looks better. Okay. This is encouraging. Yeah, the toothbrush is full of some kind of brown gunk. Let me try maybe I'll try the earpiece. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we saw this inside. Earpiece has a date on it, January 1958. And I will try not to disturb these markings, but you know, if they come off, they come off. I'm more interested in cleaning the phone up and being able to use it at some point rather than the marks. As long as they're documented, which we're taking plenty of pictures. Okay, let me try the worst part of this, which is the actual shell, and see if this mildew or moss or whatever it is comes off. I mean, it feels like it's coming off. Feels like it is. Let's see. Give that a quick rinse. Oh yeah, I mean, it is coming off. There's still some kind of hazing there, but I might be able to actually polish this too. That'll be another step for another time, but I might be able to polish this out. We'll see. But that's the part I cleaned. This part I haven't cleaned, and yet. And whatever this is loosening up and coming off, so that's encouraging. Okay. Rinse this again. Okay, I think there's some hope here. I think we may be able to get this looking fairly clean just with the Ajax. All right, we're back at the workbench now, and we're going to assess our efforts, our cleaning efforts. So we'll go right to the main piece here, the shell. So I was able to get all the mildew and whatever that stuff was off the shell using the Ajax dishwashing liquid and my old toothbrush. So able to scrub all of that off, and that revealed quite a few, not deep scratches, but scratches nonetheless. There are quite a few, and they're everywhere on the case here, as you can see. But since they're not deep, I think I'm just going to be able to buff these out somehow. That's probably the worst case right here on the back edge. You can see this other piece. This piece would be underneath. This is where you'd always put your fingers when you're picking the phone up, and this has some scratches on it. It's there, where your fingernails would be hitting that all the time. Now, the handset, which is a different material, is not a plastic per se, it's like a Bakelite, I believe. This has a different issue where it's not really scratched so much, but there is a real haze on it, a real layer of I don't know what on here. It needs to be removed, and I'm going to try the same strategy where I'm going to try to polish this out and remove this, because it really is noticeable. If you look under a good light, there's just this mottled brown layer. And we know that that's not really what the handset looks like. If you look inside, it should be all shiny bright like this inside part. Same with these cups for the ear piece and the mouthpiece. And there's you can really feel it with your finger. There's just a buildup of some kind of stuff on there. I mean, there are portions where it's not so bad, like here. This is shinier. This is more of what it should look like. But in here, it's very dull and very almost pitted looking. And same deal for the mouthpiece. Now, the back plate for the dial, that cleaned up rather well, but this was probably the worst piece out of all of them to clean. This had some kind of a deposit underneath where the dial sat. So the dial sits up here. Some kind of deposit that wasn't coming off with the soap and water in the brush. So I had to make a scraper out of a piece of an old credit card that I cut into a rectangular shape, and I used that to scrape this off. Now I can't really describe what it was. It was almost somewhere between like a candle wax and maybe a glue. It felt like very odd, but it was all over this plate, and the only way to get it off was really just to get in there and just scratch it off, which I was able to do. Okay, and of course there are the two pins for the switch hook, which I don't know how much cleaning I'm going to have to do on those, or polishing, but yeah, that leads me to the next thing. So the method to polish these parts will be, I'll use a series of finer and finer sandpaper grits, and I'll wet sand these. So maybe start with a 500 grit, which takes off the really gross top layer. And then you go to finer and finer grits. You go to an 800, then a 1000, and then a 3000 grit, and then finally you end with a rubbing compound of some kind. And we should be able to really polish this up really, really nice if we do it correctly. Now, that'll be in the next video. And also in the next video, we're going to be dealing with some of these other parts. So we're going to be dealing with the dial. The paint on the dial is bubbling up in some places, and it's starting to peel off. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sand this and actually repaint it. I'll have to try to match this paint. It's some kind of a gloss black, obviously, but I'll have to try to find something suitable I can paint this with so it won't look like It won't look like I painted it. It'll look like Western Electric painted it, which they use some kind of obviously some kind of a durable paint on this. And of course these other pieces too, like there's a piece for that holds holds your phone number in. This little piece. This holds your phone number card. And this also is suffering from some of this kind of pitting and peeling effect. So that's going to need to be cleaned up and repainted. And what else? Some of these other pieces are rusty. I'm going to try maybe putting these in vinegar along with some of the rusty screws like this, and see if the vinegar can clean the rust off. I don't really want to start to have to sand these too much to clean them up. And of course these parts you don't really see anyway. They're inside, but it's just the principle. So that's it for part 1 of our telephone restoration project. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section under the video, or you can write to me at network13.contact@gmail.com. If you like this video, please by all means give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, go right ahead and give it a thumbs down. It's no problem. Your opinion is your opinion. If you look at some of the other content on our channel and you like what you see and you want to subscribe, please by all means subscribe. We just hit 78 subscribers this week, which is really, really great. And I thank everyone who's taken the time to subscribe and who's been supporting me and encouraging me this past year or so on this channel. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned for part 2 of this restoration project, which will be following shortly, I hope, in the next week or two. And I'll end, as I always end, by saying, as always, thank you for watching.